Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's detailed explainer, where we're going to unpack a critical, literally life or death issue regarding how we design and protect our modern infrastructure. We're starting with a very heavy, visceral reality today, the tragic fire at the PIMS hospital in Islamabad. It's a heartbreaking event, especially when you think about the vulnerable patients and children who were involved. But, according to the source material we're reviewing, this tragedy is actually symptomatic of a much larger, incredibly dangerous misunderstanding in our engineering and safety industries. So let's figure out exactly where our safety standards are going so terribly wrong.
The sorrowful and, frankly, deeply critical sentiment of our source material is captured perfectly right here. The expert we're analyzing today argues that our national direction regarding safety is just fundamentally flawed. Think about it. When disasters strike and people lose their lives, the so-called experts rush in and only want to talk about one thing: occupational safety. And as we'll see as we get into this, treating a hospital fire as an occupational safety issue isn't just slightly incorrect, it's a catastrophic misdiagnosis of the real problem.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The PIMS hospital accident. 2. The expert, Sir Abrar Ali. 3. The occupational safety myth. 4. Defining functional safety. 5. PPE versus system design. And 6. Shifting our safety focus. Let's get moving. Section 1. The PIMS hospital accident. A catastrophic failure. Our source issues an urgent, flashing red warning about the recent PIMS hospital fire. Yes, the tragedy itself is devastating, but what happens in the aftermath? Well, that's deeply concerning too. The source points out that the investigating committees tasked with figuring out what went wrong are dangerously misdiagnosing the entire situation. They're looking at the wrong factors, and they're focusing on the wrong issues entirely. To really understand why these committees are looking in the wrong direction, we need to understand the perspective of the expert who is actually raising the alarm.
Section 2. Expert Sir Abrar Ali, analyzing true flaws.
The structural critiques we're unpacking today come directly from Sir Abrar Ali, and his credentials carry immense authority in this space. We are talking about a professional with over 40 years of hands-on experience in engineering and safety. He's shaped the minds of future engineers by teaching at top-tier universities like NED, NUST, and SSUET. Plus, he's a founding member of the Pakistan Safety Council. So when someone with a lifetime of high-level electrical and engineering safety experience stands up and says the entire industry is missing the point, well, we really need to pay attention. Section 3. The occupational safety myth, a misguided approach. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how strictly we need to define what occupational safety actually is. It is entirely people-centered. It relies on personal protective equipment, PPE. We're talking about hard hats, fireproof kits, heavy rubber boots, insulated gloves. This type of safety is exclusively designed to protect specialized workers, like linemen working on high-voltage wires or a fire brigade rushing into a burning building, from immediate, direct hazards. It's all about protecting the individual worker who is out there doing a dangerous job. But here is the massive disconnect. According to Sir Abrar Ali's observation, if you go to industry safety seminars, panel discussions, or workshops today, something like 80 to 90% of the conversation is stubbornly fixated only on occupational safety. Why? Well, he notes that this massive bias is often driven by corporate sponsorships. Think about it. The companies that sponsor these seminars are the exact same ones manufacturing and selling personal protective gear. So naturally, the conversation gets skewed towards selling more helmets and gloves while completely ignoring the structural side of the equation. Section 4. Functional safety, system-centered design. So the crucial point is that functional safety is the exact opposite of a worker strapping on a helmet. It is system-centered, not people-centered. It's a proactive design approach that uses automated instruments to detect hazards, like a sudden spike in current or just a tiny wisp of smoke, and fundamentally prevents the accident before it ever reaches the people inside the building. It's literally built into the DNA of the facility itself. The source outlines several highly specific mechanisms that make up functional safety. We're looking at safety instrumented systems, logic solvers, and relays. It includes things like pressure relief valves bolted directly onto transformers or boilers that automatically vent before a catastrophic explosion can even happen. It includes earth leakage relays that instantly cut power to prevent lethal shocks, and automated smoke sensors linked directly to fire extinguishers that trigger the millisecond a partial discharge is detected. These systems do not wait for a human to call for help 2 hours later, right? They act instantly to isolate the danger. And our expert expresses some intense frustration right here.
He points out that international bodies like the IEC and IEEE maintain completely distinct, entirely separate standards for occupational safety and functional safety. They are just not the same discipline. Yet, many professionals and investigating committees in the region continue to conflate the two, basically treating a massive, systemic building failure as if it were just a worker forgetting to tie their safety boots.
Section 5. PPE versus system design, comparing safety types.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact dichotomy we're dealing with. Occupational safety is people-centered, it's reactive, and it's designed for a specific worker to mitigate injury during an event. Functional safety, on the flip side, is system-centered, proactive, and designed to protect the general public. It prevents the event from occurring altogether. Look, if an electrical fault happens and a building catches fire, that is not an occupational safety failure. The people inside didn't die because they forgot their hard hats. They died because the building's functional safety design utterly failed them. Our source asks a brilliant rhetorical question here. Should doctors, nurses, finance admins, and hospital patients be required to wear helmets and fireproof gear just to sit inside a building? I mean, imagine walking down the street in the rain wearing heavy rubber boots just in case an underground wire was improperly grounded. It sounds completely absurd, doesn't it? Relying on occupational safety for the general public in places like hospitals, offices, or mosques is entirely illogical. The burden of safety shouldn't be on the individual's wardrobe. It absolutely must be built into the system.
Section 6. Shifting our safety focus. Demanding better design.
The critique here is sharp, and it's highly actionable. Sir Abrar Ali emphasizes that post-accident investigative committees have got to stop focusing on superficial fixes. You can't just add an alternate exit door to a building and say, okay, it's safe now, if the electrical design is still prone to catching fire. Furthermore, investigations must look past circumstantial triggers. If a kid plays with a matchstick and a whole hospital burns down, the root problem isn't just the matchstick. It's the lack of automated sensors and systemic design flaws that allowed the fire to spread in the first place. The source urges that building designs must adopt strict functional safety codes, similar to the NEC in the US or the building codes in Canada, which mandate exactly where breakers are placed and how circuits are loaded. Whether it's an earthquake or an electrical fire, these threats require profound system resilience, not individual armor.
So, I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. As we look at the skyline of our cities and walk through the corridors of our hospitals, we really have to ask ourselves, will our future infrastructure rely on the absurd expectation that everyday people need to act and dress like emergency workers, or will we finally demand intelligent, functional system design? The standards exist, the technology is already out there, and as our expert warns, ignoring them is a mistake we just can't afford to make anymore. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely hope this changes how you look at the safety of the buildings you walk into every single day.